Hello everyone, you're on the Player Review channel. In this video, you'll learn about the new card of Bayern Munich legend Franz Beckenbauer and just how good he is. Plus, we'll also cover an equally interesting player from the current Munich squad, Dayot Upamecano, who received a dynamic UCL card, and as always, compare them to several alternatives. It's going to be interesting, so don't switch off. Don't pay too much attention to Beckenbauer's price. He will definitely drop once he starts appearing more frequently in packs. Franz has a medium body type, standing at 181 cm tall with a 3+3 star combination. Upamecano, on the other hand, has a stocky build, is 186 cm tall and has a 3+5 star combination. Moreover, his card is dynamic and can receive several strong upgrades if Bayern performs well in the Champions League. He also has a controlled lengthy acceleration type on Shadow, whereas Beckenbauer has controlled. However, you can use Anchor to convert him to controlled lengthy. In terms of playstyles and roles, Upamecano is significantly better than the German legend. However, Beckenbauer has the additional positions of central midfielder and CDM, which we'll discuss in the review. Franz Beckenbauer received a new card, but unfortunately he didn't get a truly good acceleration type on Shadow, or even solid pace stats. To put it simply, he already lacks speed. If this card had been released earlier in the year, it would have been one of the best on any position. But now, he is seriously lacking in pace. That said, for central midfielder or CDM, this isn't critical. Since opponents often slow down before reaching your defenders, it's easier to close them down from behind, as shown in this moment. Upamecano, however, has a better acceleration type and, more importantly, maxed out pace stats on Shadow, allowing him to close the gap with attackers much faster. Plus, he gets back into position more quickly precisely because of these advantages, not to mention the importance of the defender ++ role, which Beckenbauer lacks. Thanks to his high defensive stats, Upamecano accelerates into opponents better, meaning you can take more risks with him. The only thing is that you need to get used to his stocky build. The Frenchman feels quite heavy, even on jockey, so he takes longer to adapt to compared to more agile players. But once you do, it becomes easy to win duels simply by running into opponents and utilizing the bruiser playstyle. By the way, bruiser often prevents opponents from getting off accurate shots. The key is to get close in time to block the striker. Even without activating the playstyle, his stocky model naturally obstructs opponents, leading to frequent ball recoveries. At first glance, Beckenbauer might seem to have a solid physical presence too, but that's just an illusion. He often lacks aggression, strength and, surprisingly, defensive tenacity, so missing tackles isn't uncommon. Of course, he also requires some adjustment, but we still struggle to explain passive tackles like this one despite having anticipate. This is a clear lack of aggression. Yes, the card still has silver anticipate, which occasionally helps. However, his tackles lack assertiveness, meaning the ball often bounces away. If he confidently attacked the ball while applying physical pressure on the opponent, he would win possession more often. That said, sometimes good tackling and interception animations do trigger. More importantly, he has quick defensive animations. On the other hand, the card clearly lacks the block playstyle, which is crucial for a CB. Conversely, Upamecano has gold blocks and it's very noticeable. For example, take a look at the variety of animations in these clips. The Frenchman is extremely active in the box when an opponent shoots. He often jumps in the way himself or makes unusual lunges, like in this scene where he blocks a shot with his back foot. In short, this is an extremely important playstyle for a center back. Unlike Beckenbauer, Upamecano also has jockey, which is crucial, especially given his stocky model. It makes him easier to control when tracking attackers. Meanwhile, Franz is quite small in comparison, so he's easier to maneuver, even without jockey. Plus, his intercept playstyle often helps, which is useful for any defensive position. Again, though, it's not gold, so the ball bounces away a little more frequently. Where Franz clearly outshines the Frenchman is in ball control. However, you still need to be cautious when dribbling, especially in midfield. And yes, Beckenbauer felt better in midfield, both in terms of pace and defensive play. He intercepted passes more easily in central areas and had a great ability to read opponents. He was consistently in position to cut off passes or stayed high up in midfield so that attackers immediately ran into him when starting their attacks. But before we continue discussing Franz's midfield play, let's finish with Upamecano. He struggles to control the ball immediately after winning it. This isn't a major issue, you just need to keep things simple. Win the ball and pass it to the nearest teammate or the goalkeeper. On the interception front, there were no complaints. Once again, his effectiveness was boosted by not just the intercept playstyle, but also jockey. However, he doesn't have the slide tackle playstyle, which is noticeable. Then again, we rarely use slide tackles, especially with big center backs. Yes, he lacks anticipate, but his tackles are aggressive, which is a plus. Despite not having anticipate, Upamecano still wins tackles due to his aggression and holds onto the ball more often, as we previously mentioned and as seen in this clip. And of course, such a large and more aggressive body type performs better in aerial duels. Now, back to Franz and his role in midfield. Here, his one golden playstyle actually becomes useful. In fact, even for a center back, this playstyle is valuable. It allows him to escape pressure efficiently, as his passes not only find their target but also travel through the air, which is even more important when facing high pressing. For midfield though, it's better to use Engine, which adds vision, reducing the likelihood of unsuccessful long ball passes. Also worth noting are his useful incisive pass and technical playstyles. However, take a look at his R1 dribbling. His speed is average and his agility isn't great, so it's best to focus on passing. Thanks to his high reactions, he plays quick one-touch passes well, even without a specific playstyle for it. Beckenbauer also has silver trivela and decent shooting stats, allowing him to hit classic long shots into the far corner. However, his shot power is still low, so trivelas won't go in consistently. That doesn't mean you shouldn't push him forward. His passing and playstyle strengths will still be useful. However, keep in mind his low stamina and lack of relentless, which means he'll be noticeably fatigued by the end of the match if played in midfield. And finally, we have to mention this funny moment with Sawa. Well, what can we say? Cherchez la femme. As you know, in EAFC 25, the rewards for the Weekend League are awesome, which means that the game has become much harder to play. Our boosters will help you to get the best rewards. Write in, because the number of spots is limited. And don't forget that we also sell coins at a cheap price. All links in the description. Now let's summarize our reviews. If you're even slightly interested in Upamecano's card or need him for chemistry links, then go ahead and complete him. His price is extremely reasonable and won't put a dent in your fodder. Plus, since it's a dynamic card tied to Bayern, it has decent upgrade potential in the Champions League. Again, Upamecano isn't some broken meta card, but he definitely justifies his price. And if you've enjoyed his cards this year, this one is also worth adding. Unless, of course, you've already used some incredible evolution on him. As for Franz Beckenbauer, he's definitely not worth buying, even if his price drops significantly. At this stage of the game, he needs a much stronger special card, and his base version just isn't enough anymore. Yes, he can play multiple positions and is decent on the ball, but honestly, he doesn't offer much when you consider the insane cards available on the market for cheap, or even from recent SBCs and evolutions. Simply put, there's nothing outstanding about him. That said, his card is still interesting, with solid ball control, so we'll be waiting for a proper special version. If he gets a good upgrade, he could be a solid central back, but for now, he's better suited to midfield. However, given his stamina issues, even there, he won't last long. So, we can confidently pass on this one and wait for a top-tier SBC of a special Beckenbauer card. And obviously, we'd rather play with Upamecano than Beckenbauer. Even Base Mateus doesn't feel any worse. If anything, he might actually be better than this Beckenbauer card. Right now, you could compare Franz to Carlos Alberto or Thuram, but he clearly loses to both, and even then, we'd still pick them over Upamecano. By the way, we recently upgraded SBC Ruben Dias in Evolution, and he was absolutely fantastic. So if you need a well-balanced center back, we highly recommend trying out this version of the Portuguese defender. However, he does lack the blocks playstyle. Ben White is also about to be released, or if you're watching this later, he's already out. He also has the central back position, but his lean body type is a bit concerning. Either way, we'll definitely test him and share our thoughts in our Twitter, so stay tuned. Among the available options, Alaba and Inigo Martinez come to mind. Honestly, these cards didn't impress us, so we can't recommend them. Alaba seems better suited as a left back, but if you enjoyed their cards, let us know in the comments why. Overall, the new Upamecano is comparable to Rudiger, and to be honest, we still prefer the German. So, we wouldn't swap Rudiger for Upamecano, especially if you don't have faith in Bayern's Champions League run. Another player worth mentioning is one of our favorites, Araujo. There's no reason to replace him either. He's clearly superior to Upamecano. As for Stam, if you're still satisfied with his card, there's absolutely no need to change him. Stam is the kind of player you either love or hate, so you can either use him until the end of the game or swap him out for any other central back. The new Desailly is certainly no worse than Upamecano, so if you need a solid defender, especially a budget-friendly icon, he's a great option. And of course, we haven't forgotten about budget beast Ledley King. Honestly, he impressed us even more than Upamecano, so we wouldn't replace him either. The same goes for the recent Bremer, especially the version with jockey. He's much more agile than the Frenchman and also has gold anticipate, so if we had to choose between them, we'd go with Bremer for his superior mobility on jockey. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll try to respond quickly. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on interesting reviews. We're giving Upamecano an 8.8 rating for card quality and 8.3 for Franz Beckenbauer. And as always, detailed ratings will be available tomorrow in our Twitter. For SBC value, Upamecano gets a 10 out of 10. Thanks for watching until the end and see you in the next videos.